first time in LCR history, we arrive in Vietnam to the Hanoi Street Circuit here for LCR Season 9 Round 2. My name, of course, is the voice of LCR Nut. Alongside me is F1 Maestro, aka James. Let's have a look. Just a few minutes ago, we had a gripping and epic qualifying session, and here is your grid for it. So, backing up from the win from last week, BRL Perondi gets a pole position and didn't even need to do a final run in qualifying. FZR Mont, who got demoted after late penalties at the Bahrain Grand Prix, drops to P2 for this one. Amazed heads up the second row with Jack RT making it 1-4 for Alfa Romeo. Got to look them as constructors' favourites. Second row consisting of Amazed and Jack RT. Row 3 consists of the second Mercedes in Dralex, 3-5 for them, and Sims starting from 6th. Row number 4 begins with the South African of Ems. That's getting a strong qualifying in P7. Melanie starts from P8 for Racing Point. It's all teamed for the moment, as then it's York who heads up row 5 behind his Racing Point teammate, and FZR Dean makes it a 2-10 for the Renaults. And outside top 10, fresh twist tyres starting with row number 6. Boris Letterbox, the returning reserve, starts from 11th place, with Aiden, who had a strong qualifying last week, has to settle this week from P12. Row 7 consists of Street Gamer for Red Bull and Alpha Tauri's Dylan Johns, making it 12-14 for them. Looking on to row number 8, the reserve of Mac212 starts ahead of the McLaren driver of Frobo Jobo. Row number 9 consisting of FRA Vivid and John Papp for McLaren. To the Haas and the McLaren teams quite far down. On the 10th row at the back of the field, LCR Apex said the qualifying band starts from 19th. Jesus Mulder joined late in the session, and the Flying Dutchman will start from the back in his Red Bull in P10. As we drive the thick and fast from Webshop, one of course mentioned the voice of LCR Nut. Alongside me, as for the one off, is the man James, aka F1 Maestro. And James, what a qualifying session that was.
Yeah, indeed, as you say, very close throughout the field, minus, as you said, Perondi not even needing the last lap. He is well clear in qualifying, but I'm sure it will be closer in the race. He'll need to make sure he gets a good start. But as you said, outside the top 10, free tyre choice and a lot of variation. Apart Aiden on the hards, and then most people on the mediums, a couple on the softs as well. So predicted strategy up now on my screen saying it's going to be a 2-stop. I highly doubt that, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see.
Maybe 2-stop for front wing changes. I think that's probably the way that we'd look at it. Here at Hanoi, the street circuit has proved to be very tight, very narrow. We've seen a few instances in qualifying of drivers make mistakes and clipping the wall. In the race, where they're not going to stop for 28 laps, it is a very big possibility as well. Big talking points inside the top 10, as you mentioned, a lot of variation in the tyres. Only man on hard compound tyres, the man that starts from P12 in Aiden for Alpha Tauri. Medium tyres for Boris in 11th, Dylan Drums in 14th, same with Matt, Frobo Jobo, Vivid and John Papp alongside Mulder as well. All of them on the medium tyres. 2 cars outside the top 10 on the softs. Street Gamer from 13th and LCR Apex from 19th. The entire top 10 all qualified on softs, and I think judging by the qualifying times, that's not really the surprising thing around here.
No, I wouldn't say so, but maybe people outside the top 10 who are on the softs may be thinking, oh, if I have an incident in the first few laps, then I don't have to use these tyres again. Whereas if you go on the hards and have an incident in the first few laps, then that's maybe a bit difficult for your race. I hope Mulder's been able to get a setup on. Obviously, he joined during quali, so wouldn't have loaded one there. But the cars are lining up on the grid right about now.
Yep, so Mulder, the final man of 20, as LCR gets ready to create a legacy for the very first time here in Vietnam. Who knows what to expect over 28 laps? It's arguably one of the first competitive races you'll ever see at the Vietnam circuit here in Hanoi. We have made up for the 5 red lights that are now coming on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. LCR Season 9 is off in Hanoi. It's a good start there from Perondi, not so good from Monte. He's coming down towards turn 1. It's a bit of a lag instant with the leaderboard, but around the outside goes Amaze. Monte coming down towards turn 1. He tries to get a long way around on the Renault. He might run step. Perondi's gone wide, and Amaze will take the lead as Perondi cuts the corner, and you would argue he has to get that position up. Jack RT squabbling away with the Renault behind as well as they come through towards turn 5 for the first time. The Renault forces him across chicane. Amaze now leads Perondi down to second, and Jack RT will very much take advantage and get past his teammate as well. He does. Dralex in the background as well as Mon continues to fall down the order like a hot knife through butter. Dralex on the inside of Perondi. Jack RT also trying to find a way past Amaze as well as the order finally gets reset. It's Amaze that leads, Jack RT second, and BSR Dralex in third. Brilliant start for Mercedes, and Jack RT is flying in Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, Perondi all the way down through the order as Frobo
Oh, massive crash
out of the race. Oh yes, big crash. Lots of cars involved at the back. John Papp and Apex as well, who seems to be stuck inside Frobo's car on my screen, but he's managed to get out there. Frobo unfortunately out. John Papp and Apex look to have wing damage. That's unfortunate for them. They'll be heading to the pits as we do have a virtual safety car as a result of that to calm everything down. But yeah, And Mays managing to get through on Perondi, who's dropped all the way down to 4th. He's a bit rattled, cutting the second corner, and Jack RT and Dralex with storming starts up to 2nd and 3rd.
It would also feel there's been an incident with FCLR Dean and Boris Lemos. They've dropped down to 5 and 7 positions respectively. I've got the ridiculous pit stop strategy up again. I don't need that for the 15th time, thank you very much. The Jeffs at F1 Codemasters, but we get ready to go back to green flag racing, and the man that's been the bridesmaid for the majority of seasons now leads the way here. He won round 2 last season when, of course, we were at Australia with that absolute dramatic climax that was a Grand Prix, which saw the main contender BRL Perondi go out of the race. Into the pits though on lap 1 comes the 2 Haas drivers of Boris and Vivid. Dean also in, John Pab in, and LCR Apex in. A lot of fresh front wings need to go on, and the VSC is still out there.
Well, it's quite a big crash.
Now
DRS has been late. Apparently it's lap 3 according to the graphic on my screen. I'm sure that will fix itself. But Jack RT's dropped back. He must have had a lag spike. Oh no, it's not. It's the game being glitchy again, I think. He's still 2nd.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Hello, yep. As I've got Mont and MZAT mounting each other on the way through towards the 2nd section of corners. Yeah, a lot of lag issues going on so far. But a lot of pit stops coming in as well for us further down, James.
Yeah, well, those guys who pitted will be annoyed that VSC didn't stay out a few seconds longer, because obviously they'll have to make a majority of their pit stop under green, but I'm sure maybe the ones who've gone onto the hards will try and take those to the end. But Amaze will be very happy that it's Jack RT behind him and not Perondi, as Jack having to defend a bit from Dralex there. Very quick Canadian in the Mercedes, had a puncture last week unfortunately, which sends him flying into the barriers and out of the race with just a couple of laps to go. But yeah, Amaze will be looking to build this gap before Perondi can fight his way back through to 2nd, because I'm sure Perondi does have the pace over these two, and it's just a matter of time before he gets back past his teammate and Dralex.
Still a long way to go in this one, so don't quite phone home just yet about what's going to happen, as Dralex very much keeping Jack RT for company, and I'm sure Jack also thinking about the fact his teammate is on the back of him as well, as they now begin lap 3 officially. So now we do have the advantage of the drag reduction system, as Amaze goes fastest with a 39.5. Of course, spent the majority of the lap under the virtual safety car as well, which wasn't going to help the lap times. There's a big moment there through turn 1 for VSR Dralex. He kept the car going, but had to take almost the opposite lock to keep the car in a straight line. So a sign that really he needs to get comfy, because that was a hectic start and that can put a driver off. Speaking of which, Mont has lost it.
Yeah, I didn't see where he's gone off or whether he got damaged from that, but yeah, he's dropping a lot of positions there down to outside of the points, as yes, it looks like he does have damage on the front left end plate there, so that will probably affect him quite severely, and he'll be looking to get into the pits as Aiden on his hard tyres moves past Matt 2-on-2 and into the points here with a bit of help from DRS, and then getting the better line through the corner. But now coming out onto the next straight, Matt 2-on-2 with the slipstream, and he'll get DRS shortly. There it is, open now, and he's going to go back up the inside, which will give him the outside for the hairpin, but it won't matter because he's got the position done already, as Sims just passing Jork there into the hairpin as well, moving him up to 6th. But Amaze crucially does have that gap over 1 second, but not anymore, as Dralex and Jack are going side by side, but Jack manages to defend the position for P2, and Amaze has 1.1 now, which he'll be very happy about, as Jack will not be getting the advantage of DRS, and as a result will not be pulled along very easily.
Yeah, Jack RT so far really showing his elbows so far, and the crucial thing for VSR Dralex not to get frustrated. There's still a long way to go in this Grand Prix, and you don't want to ruin it in the first few laps. So Mays goes fastest, 38.4 set by the Mercedes driver. Look out for Perondi on the back of Dralex as well, following that little mistake in that battle that potentially might ignite the fire inside the Brazilian as well. Both Williams holding up together. Emzat's keeping to the back of Perondi. Sims a bit of a gap because of course he's just passed York on that previous lap in the little inter-team battle between Williams and Racing Point. Let's see if that continues throughout the season really. But here comes Dralex on Jack RT, filing down towards the second section of corners, tries to have a look potentially, but was not close enough on this time around. And I love this camera angle as they fly through it as John goes out of the session there. Melanie gets past his teammate, but the man down in 17th is out of the session. Can we see from Apex. No, he's just retired in the pits. So that's the end of both McLaren's days. Not how they wanted to start this Vietnam Grand Prix. And Dralex is hounding Jack RT here down the third DRS straight, heading up towards turn 11. Pops it out to the outside line. Jack RT, defensive on the inside, leaves with a little bit of room. Goes around the outside and flies past. And it's a Mercedes 1-2 for how long out of 11 though. A good bit of traction there from the Canadian. And he's ahead. Experience once again from him. Meanwhile, absolute cluster going on here as Mel. Oh, Streak Hammers in the wall. Can't move him.
Oh, he's retired, of course he has. But yeah, just lots of traction, as I mentioned in qualifying, not much grip on this track as it's a new one for this year. There's a three-way battle with Jork, Melanie and Streak as they both managed to get past Sim somewhere, so we missed that whilst we were looking for the battle for second. But as you mentioned, VSR Dralex getting past Jack RT, making it a Mercedes 1-2. And now, will Jack RT get the call from Ralph Romeo to let his teammate through, or will he be looking to launch another attack as Mont pits with his front wing damage and Mulder as well?
Yeah, so both drivers in for a pit stop, and interestingly, Mulder, because of course the tyre glitch, it says he's done 0 laps on their mediums, he definitely hasn't. He's done about 5 because of course he started on that set, but a new front wing going to go on for both of them. Both interestingly changing, well, it looks like now that they're getting ready at the Red Bull camp. They were missing, the lights were on but no one was home. It's going to be going on to a set of the hard tyres for Mulder. Mont going for medium, so would you feel that Mont's going to be trying to go for a pushing 2 stop from here?
Yeah, I don't think the mediums will be able to do 24 laps or whatever it is, so I think Mont's just going to try and floor it for the rest of the race, give it the beans, do as fast a laps as he can, and trying to get to the end on a 2 stop, with Dralex having to go defensive from Jack RT, but he just had the gap. And this DRS that Jack RT is getting off of the Mercedes is keeping his teammate behind for now.
Yeah. So far, looks like quite a fuller spectacle. You know, no one's quite got away just yet. May's beginning to pull a gap on his teammate, but then you look behind, you've got a brilliant little train forming here, and I must admit, this is not quite what I was expecting from the Hanoi circuit. Meanwhile, further down, Mont just come out the pits, and now behind Vivi, pit on lap number 1, pops himself to the inside line, heading for turn number 11, and sails on past in the P13, and I'm sure this is not really how Renault wanted to start this Grand Prix. 12th and 13th in the opening laps, and goes to show that consistency can really mean something in this Grand Prix, and especially as well because Amaze has dropped a bit of time to Dralex. He's made a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, indeed. Down to half a second. Dralex will now pick up DRS of his teammate. Just saw Perondi bump into the back of his teammate Jack RT, who appears to have dropped off the back of Dralex as well. Perondi all over the curves to turn 4 there, and that's going to give him a poor exit. But it looks like Jack RT is not going to fight it, pulls out the way and lets his teammate through, which I'm sure Perondi will be very grateful for.
Watch Emzats.
As Emzats up the inside as well. Jack just caught napping there after his teammate, but he's going to go switch back in. Might have been a bit of lag contact there, and was Emzats in the wall? I didn't quite catch it from the camera angle I had, but Jack managed to switch back Emzats. He went in very deep on the brakes for the right-hander, and therefore had a compromised line for the left-hander, but Jack maybe not aware that the Williams is going to come through with the DRS and the overspeed as well, but he's managed to get away with it and keep the position for now, as the gap is now only 3/10 up front.
Yeah, the gap really coming down. Amazed whether he's made a mistake or even got a bit of front wing damage possibility as well, as the Racing Points again swap position. So now it's Melanie ahead of York in their little mini battle for P6. They're of course ahead of Sims after he dropped both positions just a few laps ago. But yeah, now this is a really interesting position that Mercedes find themselves in, because Amazed appears to be struggling a little bit, and Dralex appears to be thriving, and Perondi is only a second down the road, and if he gets back into DRS, they don't want to cause a freeway train and potentially ruin their opportunity to claim a 1-2 on the cards. I think, especially in the early rounds as well, you know, the drivers are settling in. These two have been teammates last season as well, James, so I'm sure they relatively should know each other by this point.
Yeah, experience and knowing each other as teammates is definitely beneficial when it comes to league racing, because you can talk before the races, trade setups and stuff, and make sure you can get the best results as a team as well as for the Drivers' Championship. But Amaze seems to have upped his pace a little bit, but Perondi now crucially within Dralex's DRS, although too far back for the moment, and Amaze will hold the position for now. But I imagine if it is soft to hard we're looking for, we'll be approaching pit stop soon, as Dylan comes into the pits and gets a 5-second penalty for speeding and also retires from the race as Mont, as we predicted, with the pace on those medium tyres, fastest lap in the race, but he is currently a long way off the back of the points, which that 21 seconds is a net gap, because obviously he'll have to make a second stop, as Dralex now on the DRS on the back of Amaze is not using overtake by the looks of things, but he might have a look up the inside anyway. Amaze sort of comes over, and that maybe scares Dralex from throwing one up the inside, but he does look like he is the faster of the two Mercedes for the moment, but poor traction on the exit there, and Amaze is able to pull away for the time being.
Yeah, the Scotsman not going to let this lead up without a fight. Both men claimed victories last season, done really well for Mercedes in the overall constructors. It wasn't quite to be because, of course, BRL Sewer existed last season, so yeah, enough said really about the championship fight. But Amaze takes the opportunity to dive into the pits. Perondi follows him in, so both Mercedes and Alfa Romeo, and Jack RT has double stacked the Alfa Romeo, and that could be disaster for him because Melanie's in and he'll probably come out ahead of him.
Yeah, the double stacking glitch is not fixed on this game, so he'll probably have at least a 3-second longer stop. As I predicted, Amaze wanting to get rid of those tyres. He's been held actually for Jack RT, but gets out just in front of the racing point. Let's see if Jack RT's held. It's looking like it's going to be a long stop. Melanie will definitely jump him. As Perondi is ahead of Amaze, with Amaze getting held due to the other Alfa Romeo coming through. As Jack RT's retired, obviously didn't fancy getting held in the pits as they fly out the pit exit, that very high speed pit exit. But Perondi up past Amaze, and we'll now have to see where Dralex comes out when I assume he pits at the end of this lap. But Amaze getting bad luck in the pit lane there, with Melanie now up to what I guess is 5th, with Jack RT out of the race, or 6th maybe behind Emsatz.
That's a disastrous pit stop as far as the Scotsman's concerned, and now he's got to get his elbows out, and this could be crucial for Dralex as well, because if they do battle, it gives him that little bit of a buffer just to make sure he doesn't get undercut. But here they come flying down towards 10 and then the hairpin at turn 11. They've got a lot of clean out ahead of them, about 5.6 seconds to aid in ahead. Here they come with DRS, here comes Amaze flying up towards, the Scotsman picks the inside line out at turn 11, brakes as late as he possibly can and flies on into P7. Fantastic move from Amaze, and now crucially he's got the track position ahead of Perondi again.
Dralex in the pits as we predicted. How will the overcut work for him with Amaze and Perondi battering a little bit? Also, Perondi got a corner cut penalty on pit entry, so I wonder if that will be one which can be removed because it's just the game being stupid and him taking the pit entry, or if it was on the corner before the pit entry, and he will have 3 seconds added to his race time. Dralex out of the pits on the hard tyres. Jorkin as well. Where would he come out in relation to his teammate and Perondi? He's heading towards the limiter line now, as Amaze and Perondi coming down the pit straight, and he's going to be nowhere near them. I guess he does get to cut off turn 1, so it might be a bit tighter. And
it's going to be close.
Where is he? I can't see him, but he's kept it. I completely judged that wrong, how much time you gain cutting off turn 1 and 2 on the pit exit. And Dralex maintains his lead despite the overcut, with Amaze still in 2nd and Perondi in 3rd, but Perondi's now on it by himself as Jack RT's out the race on the DRS again, but I don't think he'll be close enough this time, maybe waiting for the 2nd DRS straight before making the move.
Oh, as Amaze kisses the wall for the 2nd exit. Oh, and then it comes to give Amaze. Amaze sliding across the track. Perondi amazingly doesn't go into him. Pun very much intended, and that splits the gaps out. And could that be the moment we look back on and think VSR Dralex can go on to claim victory now outside the DRS window, flying like there's no tomorrow? It could be the Canadian's day, thanks to one simple mistake for his teammate.
Yeah, that's again with the lack of grip on the track we saw with Street Gamer early in the race. Amaze managed to save it and not put it in the wall, but Perondi could have very well run into him there. I don't think that was Amaze's fault or anything. He's just trying to save the car, and lucky that it wasn't a more serious accident. But yeah, over 2 seconds is now the gap as Emsatz pits, extending his stint for 1 lap longer. Seems we'll have to extend it for another lap, but he'll be on much fresher hards at the end. But yeah, Amaze maintained position ahead of Perondi, but I think Perondi will be more happy just to not have lost any front wing from that very light tap, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, fortune signs of reduced damage here in LCR sometimes do work in your favour, as Perondi is now going to get DRS with Amaze, of course, and when the pit stops come in, these lots should refile into 1st, 2nd and 3rd, but they're going to have a bit of traffic that, regardless of pit stops, they are going to have to pass, because Aiden is on a set of hards, and he's going to be going till at least about, I imagine, lap 19, lap 18, so Dralex doesn't want to get caught in the wrong situation here, James, because if he does, that could be some heavy time lost.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it depends what Aiden decides to put on. He might decide to put the mediums on at the end of the race if he thinks he'll be able to get more pace out of them. But yeah, I think Dralex will almost certainly catch him because he's only 2 seconds behind him. Hopefully Aiden is willing to comply and just doesn't fight it, but that depends on the driver. Some drivers will battle when the leaders come through, some drivers will realise that it's not their race and realise that it's beneficial for both of them to just not wave them through, but not fight them when they come through the DRS. Dralex actually selected neutral for the hairpin there, an extra downshift, but managed to get away with it, as I'm sure Sims will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap for his only stop, and Emzats did manage to stay ahead of the 2 racing points despite his later stop, and he's about 2.5 seconds off the back of Perondi, despite Perondi and Amazed instance. That shows how much staying out long on extra tyres can cost you, because he could have been in the mix there, but instead he's further back. But obviously the fresh tyres should come to him at the end as Sims stays out again. Maybe he's trying to do a soft medium strategy here.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. I think you've got to take him around about to the next lap to be able to get him to the end. When I looked at the telemetry earlier today when I was having a look at sort of idea strategies, because of course I've never seen a competitive race at Vietnam, so I had to kind of learn what the strategy is for this idea one, because usually you can comment on what you've seen in the past, but here today I didn't have a Scooby-Doo what to expect. So now, yeah, Sims probably going to try and go for that soft medium strategy, but you do wonder with the time he's going to lose for the undercut, that could cost him. Speaking of cost him, Mays had a bit of a moment there out of turn 5, and now coming down towards this second section, Perundi's getting closer and closer, and that massive long straight between turn 9 and turn 11 could be another opportunity for them to get back past.
Yeah, Mace has literally no ERS, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, he's got caught up on the curb again. Perondi has to jump on the brake as well. Matt 212 takes the lead, but will focus on this one. Perondi, there's no way he's not going past here. I think Amaze will realise that he's better off saving the ERS as he sort of parks his car in the middle of the track, but as they go through the kink, Perondi, as expected, flies past with the DRS. And the question will be, can Amaze stick with him now? I'm sure he can. He is very quick, the Scotsman in the Mercedes, but Perondi we know is sometimes on another level like last week, so we'll have to see if he flies off into the distance in pursuit of Dralex, or if Amaze can stick with him over the coming laps. But as we mentioned, Matt 212 up into the lead on those medium tyres, which he'll be staying out on for a few more laps, and Sims really starting to struggle on these old softs now. And he does stay out again.
Yeah, he is. He's really trying to make this soft medium strategy work. I mean, fair play for giving it a go, but yeah, the race leader now Matt 212, the man that has 16 starts in LCR, 146 points, and has only actually ever led 1 Grand Prix, so that gets added to 2 now here today. But here goes Dralex on Aiden. We've got to keep our eye on this because he doesn't want to get held up too much.
A lot through those.
That was a big margin through the first few corners, but now out of turn 4, it's not the best exit from Dralex, and he's got to get a move on down this straight with the DRS wide open.
Aiden's in overtake, he's going to fight it.
Let's see if he goes for the lunge though, coming down towards turn 5. He's going to pick the inside line up, try and break later on them fresh tyres. Aiden's still trying to defend through this looping section. Dralex on the outer cone gets a bit of a snap of oversteer. That could have very much led to disaster, but now coming out of turn 9, down towards 11, Dralex with another snap at the back end. He's really losing time, gap 1.7 now to Perondi. Picks out the inside line this time for turn 10. DRS activated just about now and gets the rear wing open, flying down towards turn 11, the long way round for the Canadian with the extra straight line speed. He should have the move done and dusted, goes across the cover anyway on the braking zone. Nudge there from Aiden, just about Dralex finally gets through, but look at the time he lost there, and that is definitely going to frustrate him, and a frustration weave as well to add insult to injury, James.
Yeah, I don't really know what the point in fighting that is, in my opinion. Dralex has had to burn almost all of his ERS to get past, so hopefully for his sake Aiden will be just as robust when Perondi gets there. But the gap was up to nearly 3 seconds, but now if Perondi can get past quickly, which he looks like he can't, he's made a mistake in sector 3. He was nearly just under half a second back, but a bit of understeer there and through the dirty air, and Aiden's able to pull away again. But if Aiden fights Perondi as well, Dralex will probably be back to the gap it was as Sims finally comes into the pits after 11 laps on those softs, and he'll be hopefully putting on the mediums. Otherwise I don't really see why he's extended the stint, as we now do have Perondi on the back of Aiden. Will he get close enough to make a DRS move into the right-left chicane, or will he have to wait till turn 11? He hasn't got a good exit. I think he's going to have to wait.
Yes, he is indeed. And Sims has gone onto the mediums as we expected, but had a front wing change as well because he obviously was carrying some sort of damage, which might have explained why Matt caught him up so quickly and lost a lot of time. But here comes Perondi coming through turn 10. Another snap for Aiden. A lot of drivers, as you mentioned in qualifying, continuing to struggle with the lack of traction through that section now. But now coming out of 9, flying down towards turn 11, and I think he's picked his moment here quite well, has the Brazilian. Getting the slipstream, now about to get DRS just about now, pops himself out to the outside as Aiden has stuck to the inside, and this time round Perondi gets a nice and easy move ahead and is now into P3. Next on the hit list for Aiden is Amaze behind Dralex's teammate, and the gap was fairly close to himself and Perondi, but as you can see, thanks to the traction and difference, it looks a good opportunity though for Amaze on the inside line at turn number 12. He tries lunging, he's going to try and stick the nose in there, and that section contact, bit of a half spin, and a real moment of probably desperation from Amaze because he wants to stick with Perondi, and that's not going to help.
As you said, exactly, desperation. He knows if he waits till the DRS straight on the next lap that Perondi will be gone, so he had to make that move. Unfortunately, he's not been able to make it, but I think he was right to try it because there's no way he's going to be within Perondi's DRS anymore. Luckily, nothing major from the contact, but Amaze may be having to settle for third in this one once it all shakes out. But as you can see, the gap now down to 1.5 between Perondi and Dralex. That was nearly 3 seconds before Dralex came across the AlphaTauri of Aiden, so he'll be ruining the battle that he had, and maybe that will cost him the win. But as we have to remember, Perondi does have a penalty at this stage.
Does indeed. I mean, subject to appeal, as of course you mentioned, it come on the pit entry, which is a bit of a harsh moment to get a penalty really, but here comes Amaze on Aiden. He's getting very close, but not this time round. We'll have to watch up ahead as well because Dralex is now caught up to Matt as Emzats gets a 3-second time penalty as well for multiple warnings.
More contact. Sorry to cut over you. Amaze trying to stick his nose up the inside through the long double left, and Aiden having absolutely none of it. And he's got a poor exit as a result, but I think he'll still have him anyway into turn 11. Aiden actually decided to use overtake this lap, and Amaze doesn't have any left, so Amaze is going to have to step behind for another lap, it looks like, and he will be furious.
As Dralex gets past Matt, and he got that for Dralex being on the inside line at turn 11, so you would feel that's frustrating, but look who's now at the back of this. Emzats has joined this battle now, and Amaze could be on to lose the podium as well as Sims gets past Dean on his push there. I get confused because they're both called FZR, they're both driving for Renault. One's called Mont, one calls Dean. Nevertheless, Dean down to 12th, Sims up to 10th, down to 11th, Sims up to 10th. I'm not having a good day today, really, but on the mediums he can now start the push. 6 seconds to Mont ahead, then about 3 seconds ahead of him York, so good chance for a late push. But meanwhile, this battle here that will become for P3 between Emzats and Amaze continues to carry on because there is a big train in the way, that man being Aiden66. He's still holding Amaze up.
Yeah, indeed. I think Amaze surely will have him this time unless he gets a poor exit out of this chicane. Dean into the pits for a second stop. Sims making use of those medium tyres. Amaze gets a penalty there. That is crucial because Emzats doesn't have a penalty yet. But Sims making use of those medium tyres. Emzats maybe having a look at the pair of them here. Amaze looks up the inside, but again there's nothing doing. Emzats runs into the back of him under braking, but no damage done. Amaze will have to wait for the second straight this time if he can avoid contact through the double left. He's pushing the AlphaTauri through the corner, but he gets a good exit this time despite scraping the wall, and this is a done deal. I suspect Emzats will always a bit far back, but he'll want to make this move as well so he can get close to Amaze for later laps, and I think he will. Aiden's deciding maybe to not fight this time. There's a bit of lag.
Watch the double toe. Watch the double toe. The South African pops himself to the inside line of Amaze. Could this be a double move down the straight for the South? There's contact. Emzats has spun. There's also Perundi's off at the same corner.
We'll miss that. That must be with Matt 2-on-2, but absolute chaos there. I think as Aiden lets to Amaze, maybe he got an illegal overtake or something. But wow, we completely missed the Perondi one, but I think the one with Emzats and Amaze was a bit of lag because I know Amaze sort of turned in on his rear tyre, but the car shouldn't go round like that, not with the impact engine.
Damage.
Well, this game does he?
Front wing.
That's quite serious. He's understeering massively. Will he come in the pits? No. He sticks at it. I don't think that's the right call. I think he's going to lose a lot of time. 13 laps to go with front wing damage. That seems like a big risk to me. He could have come in, put the softs on, or the mediums on rather, and been very quick to the end, but he's going to try and defend. Melanie now on the back of him. Melanie up for fighting for a podium here if he can get past.
What a display from the flying Finn the Racing Point continues to put on a very good show. As he mentioned to me earlier, it is actually National Melon Day as Perondi goes off on the exit at turn 4 and out of the session. The championship leader is out on lap 16 of 28. Melanie up to P5 and net P3. Emzat still technically gained a position. He's P4 technically when the pit stops happen. No safety car for this, and I must admit, a safety car can that be crucial as Apex is into the pits for a stop, as is Mont as well to do a second stint on the mediums. As Emzat's went very deep there at turn 9. Still got the car turned in though, which was fine. And now Aiden is sticking to Amazed here. Does Amazed have some sort of front wing damage? Because here comes Aiden, he's flying up towards the Scotsman, picks out the outside line, does the AlphaTauri, and flies back past Amazed once again. Aiden is once again the train that Amazed keeps getting on board.
Yeah, I mean, surely Aiden's not actually quicker than him on 15/16 lap old hards. I can't see any visual damage looking at Amazed's car, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have it. And obviously, as we saw last lap, there was contact with the Williams and Emzats coming into the hairpin, so it's very possible that he has picked up damage. And if he has, Melanie will be all over this, because P2 is on the car's prim as Mulder passes Vivid for P9. Matt 212 finally pits. I suspect he'll get the softs on, because I'd assume with 30 laps to go and low fuel, and he'll be looking to charge through the field at the end of this race. But yeah, Perondi retiring is crucial for the championship, even at this early stage. If you want to be challenging for the championship, you can't afford a DNF like that. I'm not sure why he retired. He could have stuck on the softs and or the mediums rather, and pushed to the end and probably still got points. But his championship rivals will see a no score, and that's a big opportunity for them to demonstrate. And Amaze definitely has damage. He's understeering awfully through turn 4 there, and Melanie is now within the DRS as Emzats gets the penalty here.
Yeah, as Matt Swanton mentioned, goes on a set of softs, drops outside the points. Might very much actually be in them though, because he's come out right where Mulder is, who's still on that set of hards that he pit early for. He's in a good shift, Mulder, from 20th to 9th so far. Bit of a one that's gone under the rug, really, so far. But nevertheless, up towards the front, it still remains the same. Drolex leads, Aiden yet to pit in second. Then comes Amaze, Melanie, Emzats, York, Sims, the Williams and a Racing Point doing a good show. Speaking of which, here goes Emzats to the inside line, and Melanie hasn't got DRS as the fin, and Emzats takes advantage of that fact and is now up to P4, which would be a net P3 when Aiden pits. And given the fact that Amaze is also carrying a slight knock of damage, that could very much become a P2 if he can get away on the penalties as well.
Yeah, well, we know Emzat had the pace. He was challenging Amaze before he got spun out, so he is quicker than Melanie, and Melanie will be happy to let him go probably and just try and follow him up the road, especially as he will know that Jeff will probably have told him or he will have asked that, and Emzat does have a penalty. Melanie doesn't usually get penalties. I'd be surprised if he gets one, so if he can stick within 3 seconds, he could be looking at that position come the end of the race. But as you mentioned briefly, Matthew 1-2 came out ahead of Mulder, Vivid and Mont, which is crucial because he's in clean air on those softs. 10 seconds to Sims, and he'll be looking to close that down in the remaining 10 laps. But Sims and Matt were next to each other on track, so you can see how much Sims gained in the 3 laps extra, which he came in before Matt did, as Melanie's starting to drop back already. Maybe he has done damage as well, but Emzat's pulling away pretty quickly as Amaze. Will he finally be able to rip with Aiden up the inside? Aiden gives him room. Amaze claims the apex. Aiden's going to hang it through the left.
Oh, Emzat's got on the back of him. Emzat's run into the back of Aiden there at turn 7. I don't know if he's got damage from that, but that was a whacking great big hit.
Oh, I didn't see it. I was on board with Amaze, but we'll have to see. It'll become apparent through sector 3 through the high-speed corners. Emzat will be looking to get this move done now so he can get right on the back of Amaze, but unfortunately for him, Aiden has DRS as well. Bit of lag on board with the Williams as he's going to look inside the 2. I don't entirely know what's going on, but he's gone through Aiden there, but he's run wide on the curb, and Aiden gets the position back. Not entirely clear from the view I had what was happening, but Amaze has got the move done, and Aiden wasn't able to come back this time. I suspect he'll be in the pits this lap anyway.
I know this was a ghost thing, but I definitely... Oh, I did. Emzats has got damage. Front right.
It's all falling into place for Melanie.
I know. I saw it. I saw a slight bit fall off as Aiden now finally pits. So now we can finally have the order that we are. But yeah, I saw just that something fly off in the lag thing that we had, and then the worst thing was there was 2 white front wings, and I just saw a bit of right front wing fly off. So I'm thinking, well, who was that? But it turns out it's Emzat, who's now into P3, but it's got Melanie for company, of course, and he's carrying that front wing damage as well. And I must admit, if I was Aiden, I'd have probably stayed up for the next couple of laps because of the amount of carnage there was. It could have been a safety car.
Yeah, I don't think Melanie does have damage actually, but Emsat's damage is quite severe. Like Perondi, surprised he didn't come in the pits, but a couple less laps left for him now, so he'll try and fight it to the end. But Amaze looks slightly better on his pace, so as we know, his damage less minor because we can't actually see it. As Melanie losing the back end, horrific understeer for Emsatz with the wing damage. I'm sure Mel will have him come turn 11, more oversteer on the exit this time for the Williams now. He parks in the middle of the road, but there's going to be nothing he can do. Melanie on the overtake ERS. So he's deactivated now, and Emsatz reclaims the position for the moment, but now with the DRS, I'm sure Melanie will be able to break later, and with the inside line, he should be able to make the move done on the South African in the Williams, and indeed he does. And Emsatz loses the position, tries to go for the cutback, and indeed he makes it work. Melanie misjudging the braking into the hairpin, and Emsatz able to get the position back, which will probably infuriate Mel, because now he has to follow him through the high-speed corners as he loses the back end as well, able to save it, and Emsatz holds the position for another lap, which is helping Amazed out significantly.
Yeah, this is really doing him a favour, but the man that claimed his debut race victory back in LCR Season 6, Melanie, at the Monaco Grand Prix, now here at another street circuit, looks to try and claim a podium out of this one. Still a few laps left to go at this one as he gets the DRS down towards turn 1. Emsatz is lagging that ever so little bit. York is still in the background as well for racing points, so watch out to see
him.
if he... Oh, his contact!
He's going to have to give that back.
Emsatz is round.
He'll have to give that back. Mel locking up under braking and just tapped him. Obviously lag probably contributed to the Williams going round. Luckily only half round, but Mel, fair race that he is, gives the place back, but now he's got the DRS on this time, and finally he'll be able to make the move done. I think Emsatz realised that it's probably not actually his battle with the damage, and he drops back into P4 as he cuts that corner and that one, but he'll be falling back into the clutches of Jork. But no, he's not done yet. He tries to look on the inside, but with the understeer from the front wing, I don't think he'll be able to make it work, but he will get the DRS. Mel breathing and kind of in frustration. I'm sure he's aware that the Williams has damage. He's not got much ERS to fight it, but with the DRS, Mel being closed in on, he goes defensive. Can the Williams go around the outside? It looks like he can, and Mel really needs to get rid of him if he wants to progress in this race. Parks on the apex, and this lap I don't think Emsatz can make the switchback work. He gets alongside, but Mel is able to defend it, but no, he's not going to give up. Still into turn 12. Mel late on the brakes, cut back again from the Williams, but no, unable to make it work, and Melanie finally gets past as he's under.
Oh, he's in the wall again! Oh no!
Now he'll be in the pits as Jork goes past. 3 and 4 for Racing Point now. Unbelievable.
And Sims is up to 5th, and don't forget he of course is on a relatively good set of medium compound tyres. He's now closing up towards York, about 3 seconds to Melanie ahead, about 7 laps to go. It's not unheard of for him to potentially get one, but into the pits comes the South African. In fact, out of the race goes the South African. Such a shame after what was a really strong early performance, really got his elbows out, but now it's the end of his day. We're down to 13 in the Vietnam Grand Prix. We started with a full grid of 20. We lost both McLarens, both Alfa Romeos, 1 Alfa Tauri, 1 Red Bull, and a Partridge in a Williams pear tree. 7 laps to go so far, Jordan, and I must admit, what a race this has been so far.
Yeah, well, I think it may start to calm down now. A few gaps emerging, but Sims, as you mentioned briefly, on those medium tyres, he stayed out long in the first stint, and that will start to pay dividends now. He's been helped by the absolute mayhem that has ensued in the battle for the podium positions whilst he was closing up to this group, / still out in the lead. He's got the DRS on the Racing Point of Jork now. I'm sure will defend it for the benefit of his teammate Melanie, but I don't think he's going to be able to. He has no ERS left to fight with, and Sims has gone flying around the outside, and he's claimed the position. Sims up to P4, 3 seconds to Melanie, but Melanie himself, now he's got finally rid of the other Williams, Emsatz, able to set his eyes on Amaze, who we do think has minor damage. 2.6 seconds now, and a penalty for Amaze as well, so as it stands, Mel would get P2, but I'm sure he'll want to make that work on track. And the thought has just come to me, would Emsatz have stayed out with a damaged wing to fight the Racing Point of Melanie, try and benefit his teammate Sims, who he knew was coming through on the soft tyres, or the medium tyres rather? Something to maybe give some thought as we enter the last 7 laps now.
That's a really good point, actually. It could have been. Shout out to Mulder, 36 laps on them instead of hard tyres. No, obviously it's a graphical glitch. But yeah, in other news, yes, it's a really good point about what happened with MSATs. You know, was he trying to hold up Melanie? Was he just really trying to get his elbows out for his own personal gain as well? Looking at the championship, by the way, as it stands, if Sims was to get past Melanie, he would claim 15 and 15, which would put him in the championship lead heading out of this round. Melanie, as it stands, will score 18 points. We'll go on to 26 and we'll jump Perondi. Dean will score a point, so he will go on to 19. F1 Aiden down in 6th place as well. He came 4th last time out. We'll go on to 20 points. And we'll jump Dean as well. So, championship looking close, but as it stands, the Williams will lead the championship at around 2. And I think, given the fact that he's just had 2 consistent results, goes to show how crazy the first 2 rounds have been.
Yeah, that's what I say when I said I don't know why Perondi retired. Those extra 2 or 4 points that you could have got for 8th or 9th if he'd pitted would have been maybe enough to maintain him in the lead of the championship. But as it stands, Sims just ever consistent. I raced with him on 2017 and a bit on 2018. Always a very consistent driver, very reliable, and once again proving it here in the first 2 rounds of LCR. And he is starting to close significantly on Melanie already, who is also closing ever so slightly on Amaze, but probably not enough to catch him before the end of the race. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. Jort may also fall into the clutches of Aiden, and probably not Matt. Matt's pace isn't that good. Might have damage actually. Jort will fall into the clutches of Aiden on the softs. Will he be able to defend? Stick with us for the last 5 laps now.
5 laps to go left of the inaugural Vietnam Grand Prix, and I must admit I was one of the sceptical ones about this circuit. I didn't think it was going to be that exciting of a Grand Prix, but nevertheless it has certainly gone to show that this is going to be a cracker of a season when a circuit like this can produce a spectacle like we have seen over the past 63 minutes we have been live here today. If you watch on YouTube, probably about 40 or so. Nevertheless, just a few handful laps left to go. Sims is continuing to hunt down Melanie to take the podium away and potentially take P2 due to the penalties that are going to work. But the man at the front, we haven't mentioned him in a few laps, and that's because he's not had a lot to do. But VSR Dralex, I don't think when you had the qualifying order, I don't think you'd have probably put him to win at the 2 Mercedes, but he's been absolutely superb today.
Yeah, pretty much faultless, as you said, minus the incident with Aiden when he struggled to get past, but he's done a fantastic job in the first stint to work his way through the traffic up into the lead, and then stayed out a lap longer on the first stint and still managed to stay ahead of Amaze and Perondi. And then when Perondi came into contact with Matt 212, it's been plain sailing for him. Currently nearly 13 seconds clear of his teammate, and he'll be taking a win here almost certainly. Hopefully I haven't cursed it, which will be fantastic for him to follow up, bounce back rather, from the DNF last time out in Bahrain. But yeah, pretty much flawless drive from Dralex, very good from him, and just a few laps to go for him to bring home his Mercedes car.
Incredible statistics regarding Dralex. You would argue that he's one of the most statistically best drivers in LCR history. To talk you through the stats, this is his 57th LCR start today. Scored 765 points. Won the World Team Championship twice, of course. Were Leopard both times, where they've done a fantastic job for the Williams camp, now of course representing the Mercedes, and has won 6 times on the top step of the podium. Only 3 DNFs, which worked out as a percentage of 5.36% for DNF to finish ratio. It was a poor first round for him, finished 16th, but now here today it looks to be as if he's going to back up with another 25 points that haven't been very much waiting. But here comes Sims as well. Yep, you've got your Aiden gets past, but you've also got Sims and Melanie, because Melanie's got on the curb out of turn 11. I don't think Sims is close enough, but Aiden's still flying, and he's on a lot fresher softs. So could he very much knock on the door if these two battle?
Yeah, for sure. Melanie needs to watch out as well, because if they battle too much, Amaze will get out of the 3-second window, and one of these could lose a podium potentially. So Melanie will be aware of that as Dralex now starts lap 25. But yeah, Aiden on the softs, only 4 laps on them due to staying out very long on the hards in the first stint, and he'll be looking to make the most of that. Sims gets a bit squirrely on the exit of the pole corner, and that leaves Mel with a bit of breathing space for a couple more straights before Sims is able to pull himself back into contention, but the gap is now under 2 seconds, and May's clearly made a mistake in the last sector, and Mel will be able to see him now as he pushes through these last few laps. May's looking very slow actually. I wonder if he's managed to get more damage. He doesn't look like it, but we'll keep an eye on that. Gap down to 1.6 now. Sims still too far back to make an impression on Melanie, but I'm sure he'll start to close with the DRS, and he'll have better grip through this section coming up, so maybe he'll be able to have a look into turn 11.
Yeah, these medium tyres now for Sims, not exactly in the best nick. 11 laps done on them. We saw Matt pit around about lap 17, 18, so he's still got a few laps worth of life, but not exactly going to be pristine. I mean, Aiden's done 5 laps on his set of soft compound tyres, but here comes Sims on Melanie to potentially take the podium provisionally away. Goes to the inside line, down towards turn 11, and with a DRS at the zone that it goes on for absolutely donkey's years, Sims is into third ahead of Melanie now, and Mel's next target has got to just be to kick stick behind Sims, get the DRS, and keep the gap to Aiden.
Yeah, exactly as you say, that would be what he's thinking of. Aiden doesn't have a penalty, so Mel does need to finish ahead of him on track, as well as being within 3 seconds of a maze if he does want that podium. So, as you said, stick with Sims for the last few laps. He has a bit of ERS to play with, as Dean and Mulder are battling overnight. A bit of ERS to play with, so hopefully for him, he'll be able to stick within the 3 seconds of the maze, keep Aiden behind him, and get that podium which he felt that he deserved last week before the last lap collision. But just 3 laps to go now as we start lap 26, and we'll have to wait and see how this battle for the podium plays out. Mel outbrakes himself into turn 1, just maybe misjudging the braking point with the extra speed this lap from the DRS in the section. Managed to not run into the back of Sims, but that will put him a bit further back, maybe into the clutch of Aiden. But Aiden's pace, it hasn't been closing as much as I would have expected. Maybe the stuff's starting to drop in pace a little bit.
Yeah, gap 1.3 with 3 laps to go left of the Vietnam Grand Prix. So far been a real spectacle to show here, and it could be in for a very good final few laps as well. F1 Aiden, the man that today makes his 10th LCR start, when you consider that the man that's had the most starts is at 101, so we've still got a very long way to go before you can really start calling him an experienced head that has never had a podium in LCR. 4th place could very much be on it today if he can take the advantage. Somehow, despite being 1.3 seconds back, he's got DRS. Anyone else want to explain that to me?
The gap's glitched on my screen. It's stuck at 1.401, so Co-Masters have done another fantastic bug. And yeah, he's definitely closer than 1.4, so he will get the DRS. Ignore the gap, whatever it says on well, the stream screen, because I assume that's also wrong as well. But Sims's pace is incredible. Within the DRS of Amazed already, and dragging Melanie with him as we suggested he might. So Amazed is going to come under serious pressure on these penultimate 2 laps. His teammate, however, under no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, Dralex very much comfortably ahead, and looks on his way to claiming his first victory of the season, for not only for him but for also for Mercedes. Of course, the 1-2 looks to be out of the question due to the penalties, but down towards turn 1, Sims getting close to Amazed. Aiden getting close to Melanie as well, but of course Mel has the advantage of the drag reduction system as well down the 3 DRS zones that we have here, and a good exit here for Sims. He wants to avoid getting a penalty as well. That's a crucial thing in the final few laps, is not to overcook it and grab yourself a time penalty. Coming down towards the second section of turns 6 through to 9, looking for a way past still, but not close enough, and I think maybe this could be his chance out of turn 9. He gets a good exit here. Amazed once again continues to squirrel with the back end, as he's been doing a lot as of late, but so has Melanie. And to be fair, Sims were not the best exit, but it might just be enough as the 4 cars fly down past the camera at turn 10, heading down towards turn 11. The DRS picked up now. Is he going to put overtake? Yes, he is. Here he goes. Sims going to the outside line. Watch out for Aiden behind as well. Sims does get past. What about Aiden on Melanie? Trying to lunge the inside at turn 11. Melanie tries to break as late as possible. Sims gets a cut back as well. Aiden gets a bit of oversteer. In the end, they remain as they were. Somehow, they remain in the order that they started in, despite the absolute squabble. It looks to be all but done and dusted. Incredible stuff. Not too sure what's happening to James
Sorry,
at the moment.
nice muted mic. Apologies. But yeah, as you said,
That's all right.
Aiden lost the back end. He pushed Melanie out on the curb, and he'd all but done the job. But a bit of over-ambition on the traction, and he handed the place right back to the racing point as we start the last lap with all still to play for the podium positions. Amaze leads Sims, Melanie and Aiden, but Amaze has a penalty, whereas the three behind him do not. Can Melanie hold on to what will be third place, or will Aiden be able to come through and take his first podium in LCR?
It's incredible, isn't it, that Amaze might cross the line second, but actually only scored 10 points out of this one. He'll feel hard done by. Watch out for Melanie. He might even try and mount a counter-attack on Sims just to sort of create a two-way car blockage between himself and Aiden, because you can't really get past in a free wide situation around here. But on the final lap, people do go for Hail Marys. Amaze continued to squabble. So was Melanie as well. Coming out of turn 9, down the final DRS that we're going to have here, really. Now coming up towards turn 10, DRS is going to be open very shortly. All of them fly down in the four-way order that they were. It looks as if Aiden's getting very close to Melanie, but so is Sims to Amaze. His move doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but he does pop himself to the inside line to get the track position as well, just in case of an appeal. Down the inside goes Sims. Past goes Sims. This time he ruthlessly takes it. Melanie with a snap over to him out of turn 11. That might ignite the fire in Aiden through towards the final sector, but I don't think he's going to have the chance to find a way past. He tries to think about it. He can't. So Sims is in the second, but this man has dominated since the beginning of the middle stint. VSR Dralex, the Canadian's going to take his first victory of the season, and a brilliant 25.0 last week, 25 this week for the Canadian. Dralex wins in Vietnam for a brilliant Grand Prix. Yellow flags waving in sector 3.
Aiden's gone.
I believe Aiden's gone.
Well, it'll be Amaze who comes through to take third, but on penalties, Melanie will take it. And Amaze will actually probably keep fourth because of whatever Aiden did. We missed that, apologies. Aiden fifth, Jork actually just missed out in the end in sixth. And Matt 212, a very quiet second stint. I think he got damaged, but he will take home 6 points for Ferrari, ahead of the two Renaults of Mont in 8th and Dean slightly further back in 9th place.